All right, guys, this PowerPoint may be used at any time when you're writing any essay for my class. Just as a quick way to review, go through your essay and make sure that you have everything you need. This link will be on my website, so you can always access it. Your expectations are the same as what we just reviewed, but make sure you're on task, you're being respectful, and your big goal is to revise this full essay. Okay, you want to take the time to see what you've done well and what you need to improve upon. It's your chance to evaluate yourself, guys. Take this opportunity to really learn what you've done well. Your midterm is only in a few weeks. It's on-demand writing. Use today to see what you need to work on and what you do really well. So today you're going to go through this lesson at your own pace. You can pause it, you can stop it, you can rewind. Look at it as an opportunity for you to, if you've got a really good thesis, you don't have to spend a lot of time on it. If you've got a really weak thesis, pause, take the time to fix it, okay? You do have to get through this lesson by the end of class, so time yourself. You will be graded on what you do today. And at some point, I'm going to call you up to work with me, one-on-one or in a small group. I went through your writing this weekend, and I looked at some specific things that I want to pull you and talk to you about. So if I call for you, it's not because you're in trouble. It's just so I can talk to you through some things. We are doing this because I want to give you the chance, first of all, to look at it in class, not outside of class. Meet with me and work at your own pace. A lot of you are at different places in writing. I don't want to waste your time with stuff you already understand. And it gives me a chance to talk to you and grade in class. You guys know sometimes it takes me too long to get your writing back. So today you're going to leave knowing what you need to work on. You should have already done this by transferring all of this to this. Okay, so your essay should now be in this notebook. You have 24/7 access to this, so you can log on to this at any time and it'll save automatically. It also gives me access so that I can give you feedback at any time. So I can log in at any time and give you revision feedback. When you're doing your Romeo and Juliet essay, anytime you want some feedback, shoot me a text on Remind, shoot me an email. I'll log in, quickly check, and give you feedback right on that essay. The first thing I want you to do, review your essay. Reread the whole thing. Is this as good as you thought it was? Did you find those silly mistakes? A lot of you have double words. You write too quickly. Your brain can't keep up with your hands. What are you learning about yourself? What are your strengths? What do you need to improve on? I already know some kids are going to say, I don't have any strengths. Yes, you do. You have things that you've done really well and things you need to work on. Go ahead and identify those. I want you to pause this video, and I want you to label 2 strengths and 2 weaknesses and type those at the top of your essay. So pause now and type in 2 of your strengths and 2 of your weaknesses. All right, so now we're going to just look at your introduction paragraph. Before you look at yours, I want you to look at this student sample. This is somebody from this year who had the same amount of time as you, and this was an intro paragraph that she wrote. You can see I've highlighted the hook in blue, the background in green, and I've highlighted each individual section of her thesis. She answered the question in pink, because in red, so what in yellow. In recent years, there's been debate in the United States on whether or not adolescents should be tried as adults. That hook could be stronger. However, it grabs the reader's attention and it lets me know what's coming. While advocates of a lenient justice system for youths maintain that they should not be held fully accountable because of their level of brain development, opponents argue that such reasoning should not account for their behaviors. This is her background. Guys, it's just 2 central ideas of the articles that she read. She's just giving you a recap. What did she read? And then we have her thesis. In that regard, teenagers should not be governed differently due to their stage of brain development. She got this word and these words from the prompt. Use the prompt to your advantage, guys. See if you did that in your thesis. Where does she answer the question? Because of the mixed messages it produces, Look at this, guys. Mixed messages. She could write like 3 different paragraphs on that because that is open-ended. And then her so what factor. This is why we care. Leading to many dangers posed to them and society altogether. It's not just about the kids anymore. I'm involved. Now I care. Okay? Simple, to the point. She didn't go into crazy big details, but I know exactly what she's going to tell me about in her essay. So now it's your turn. Analyze your introduction paragraph. Highlight the hook in blue. Do you grab your reader's attention? Highlight your background information in green. Do you just give an overview? If you were a little more specific than her and you talked about the articles and who wrote them, that's totally fine, as long as you don't give anything away. So you don't want to give away too many details. Hope y'all can read my cursive. And finally, guys, the most important part of your entire essay is your thesis statement. You know that, but you've got to make sure you have these 3 parts. Do you directly answer the question? If you don't, you've done the whole thing wrong. Do you explain your answer? And do you have a so what factor? Guys, if this looks an awful lot like this, so if you say something like, teenagers should not be governed differently due to their adolescent brains because blah, 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 thus showing they should not be governed differently. That's not a so what factor. You guys are just repeating this part. You've got to have something that interests me and connects to me on a bigger level. Why do I care that they shouldn't be governed differently? Why is it important? What could it lead to? What could it cause? What could it prevent? It's got to be something that connects to me. So pause now, really go back through your intro and fix it. All right, now we're moving on to body paragraphs. I have here again a student sample, not the same essay as that introduction we just looked at, but a very good body paragraph. I went ahead and went through all of this tie-dyed, just like we normally do, and I went through and showed you all of her different sections. At first glance, you should see more red. That's correct. You should always have more details than anything else in your entire essay. She's got her 2 hamburger buns, top, bottom, and she has at least 2 pieces of evidence. She has 3. 1, 2, 3. So as we go through and read, teens make poor decisions more often than adults because their brains are less developed. So the 2 age groups cannot be governed the same way. She needs a transition. However, after I read this first sentence, I know exactly what this paragraph is going to tell me about. It's going to tell me about their brains being less developed. That is my topic. If your topic sentence doesn't do that, you gotta fix it. People's brains have a system that stops them from doing things that they know they should not do, but during adolescence, this braking system is still developing very, very slowly, and it's not fully mature until people are well into their 20s. Whoa. She has one sentence that is both details and evidence. That is wonderful, guys. The flow of that sentence is perfect. You are more than welcome to do this in your writing. It actually makes you a better writer. She also goes through, and this is something we need to start as well. You'll see it on the next slide. She's citing where she got it. This is the proper way to cite for MLA. You have your quote, a parentheses, your author's name. After that parentheses is where your period comes in. Okay, that just lets your reader know where they could go find this quote if they wanted to read more. As a result, teens literally do not have as much control over their decisions as adults do. Now, if I'm being picky, which you guys know I am, I hate this word. Don't do that. I would then tell her to fix her diction for this. There's a better word for that. Moving on, her second piece of evidence. For example, teens will give in to their impulses quickly without thinking about the consequences. In other words, well, before here, she needs to tell us where she got this, either at the beginning or the end. Girl, you gotta cite that stuff. In other words, their brain and their conscious, more specifically, will not stop poor decisions. In order to account for this scientific fact, the justice system should not punish kids the same way as adults, because adults' brains fully understand that what decisions they are making and whether or not the decisions are good ones. 9 times out of 10, you can take that word out, guys. Furthermore, beautiful transition, love it. Minors often make decisions based on what their friends' reactions will be. For instance, a scientific study showed that there was much greater activation of reward centers in the brain when the adolescent was playing the game being watched by his friends. Again, we've got our citation. Very important, in quote, parentheses, period. However, adults' behaviors did not change when their friends were watching them. As a result, teens are more likely to get in trouble because they take risks to impress their friends. Beautiful semicolon. Therefore, the U.S. justice system should recognize that adolescent brains sometimes value people's opinions over making good decisions. In other words, by treating kids and adults the same, the justice system would fail to account for the fundamental differences in decision-making between the two age groups. All in all, kids' brains will often, whoa, another great transition letting me know she's wrapping it up. Kids' brains often fail to resist impulses and peer pressure, which should influence the way they are governed in the U.S. justice system. That paragraph flows well. She's got a few things that we can work on, but again, this is word vomit. But look at how well she flows from detail to evidence. It's just one big thought. You don't feel very choppy, and you don't feel like all of a sudden, nope, we have some evidence. Okay, this is a great example for you guys to look back on and see and use when you're fixing yours. All right, before you start looking at your body paragraphs, I wanted to show you the different ways you can cite evidence. The paragraph we just looked at showed you a little bit, but I wanted to go into more details. This is the first half of a paragraph that I wrote for grad school, and I just want to show you the different ways you can incorporate evidence. We've all got to start using these in-text citations that we looked at in the last paragraph. But I want you to see that you don't have to, every time you use evidence, say, for example, for example, for example. So this essay that I was writing on, I had to read a book and connect it to the administration of public schools. So just giving you a little background. I read one book, I had one source, okay? A key factor taken from Friedman's book is the importance of leadership in a flat world. Many employees find it difficult to navigate a flat world and will look to leadership for guidance. As a future administrator, it is important to fully understand where to start and how to empower teachers. This first part in blue is my first piece of evidence. Friedman supports this by stating, employers have a critical contribution to make a lifetime learning of fostering employability, as opposed to guaranteed employment. All right, first you can see I have my citation. I have introduced this quote with the author's name, so I am officially not plagiarizing because I have it in quotes, and I have introduced my author. Okay, that is one way you can cite evidence. Continuing on. As a leader in education, administration must provide the resources and opportunities each member of the staff needs to empower him or herself to be successful in navigating the flat world, becoming a lifelong learner. This mindset starts with the administration of a school, often being inspired first by fellow leaders, and trickles down to teachers, staff, and students. The whole mindset of a flat world is one in which the individual worker is going to become more and more responsible for managing his or her own career, risks, and economic security. And the job of the government and business is to help workers build the necessary muscles to do that. All right, this is an example of a citation that just keeps flowing. I did not introduce my author like I did up here. This one I just wanted for people, when you read it, to flow from here down to here and then to keep going without the interruption of saying this was a quote. You know it's a quote because I have quoted it and I have cited it. But when I wanted my reader to read it, I just wanted them to keep flowing through it. You can do this. If you've got a quote that just kind of flows with what you're saying, as long as you properly cite it, you're good to go. This is our first type. Here's There's our second. Now let's look at another one. Leadership responsibilities are not to belittle those who are fully equipped in a flat world, but to empower them with the skills and knowledge to navigate it. In his book, Friedman discusses the notion of intangible things, one of which being a society of leaders. He explains how society needs strong leaders with a clear vision to push and enrich those around them, without which advancement in a flat world is not possible. It is this example of leaders that the education system desperately needs, leadership empowering others. Here you've got a third example. It's a summary. I've introduced him. I have still cited it, but it's not a direct quote. This one I'm summarizing quite a few, well, actually that whole page, all of page 330. I'm summarizing it into one sentence, and then I've just continued on with my point. So you can see here I've got important evidence and then a detail, and they just flow from one to the next. Okay? These are different ways you can do evidence, and I want you guys to start using these different types. Don't just do for example, for example, for example. Learn how to incorporate evidence and details so that they flow so much better when we read. So now, analyze your body paragraph. Well, paragraphs. You should have at least 3, possibly 4. Underline, or if you just leave the text like I did in the last one, in black. Make sure you've got your ending and your topic and that they are similar. Remember, those are your hot dog buns, or excuse me, hamburger buns. Change the text color of your evidence to blue. Every little piece of evidence. Remember, it could be half a sentence. And then change your details to red. You should have more of this than anything else. If you don't, guys, you've got to fix it. I want you to take this chance now. Pause. Analyze your body paragraphs. Go back to the student sample. Go back to my sample. Fix your writing. Look at which of these things you are really strong in and which of them you've got to work on. Okay? Pause now and fix it. All right, the simplest paragraph you should ever write is your conclusion. I've given you the intro we looked at earlier because it came from the same essay. In conclusion, adolescents should receive the same punishments as adults in the legal system because of the mixed signals they can receive due to different treatment. See that, guys? That's her restated thesis. Okay? It's not a copy and paste situation. She restated. While young adults' brains are not fully developed, implanting these dark ideas that they can get away with crimes merely because of their age poses a threat to adolescent offenders and the rest of society alike. Those were the things she talked about in her essay. Inflicting a harsher punishment is important because the future of American legal system and the lives of many are at stake. That is a great ending statement because, hello, my life is at stake. I officially care. All right? Now go through your conclusion. Where's your restated thesis? Restated. If yours is exactly like your intro, you need to fix it. Where's your background or recap? Highlight that in green. So what was your essay about? This is where you can talk about like your 3 key points of your body paragraphs. 4 key points, that's totally fine. And then highlight the ending hook in blue. How are you going to leave me thinking? Pause now. Find all of these in your conclusion paragraph and fix it. All right, guys, now just double check icing on the cake. Did you use a colon? Did you use a semicolon? Did you use them properly? Make sure your quotation marks are for your quotes. Those citations, I'm going to show you one more time. If you have an end quote, that's what it needs to look like. Okay, period goes here, quotations here. This is your author's last name. If you're doing a book and it's got multiple pages, we would put the page number in there, but for right now, that's just what we're working on. Check those transitions, go back and fix them, and then see if you've used parallel structure. Did you ever list anything? Did you talk about multiple items? If so, you need to make sure that you had parallel structure. So go back now and check for all of these added things. This is icing on the cake that really takes that essay to the next level.